I've had people who said they haven't slept 8 hours in 40 years.
Yeah.
Who have come in and now they're they're sleeping like
I've
amazing.
got people coming off of Ambien and
Ambien's crazy
Klonopins
too.
and all kinds of antidepressants
And then you go to
mood
that
stabilizers and
you go to who is, they don't want it legalized for that purpose, right? Like they don't want us to take people away, customers away from them. So are they going to be jumping into this?
You know what I just thought about? Honestly, the insurance companies should be our biggest fans.
Yeah.
Because this isn't covered by insurance,
Yep.
at least as of now, and then they wouldn't have to go pay.
But what are they getting? Because
you're still gonna pay for your insurance to go get medical care.
True.
Doctors and.
But every time you go to get a prescription, right, and they cover that.
Some things, Western medications.
Federal payouts and things.
You need. Diabetes,
100%,
like, we can only
100%.
help with cannabis, but.
Absolutely.
You're not
antibiotics.
You're not gonna save a life. Antibiotics.
Yeah.
There's just things that are life-rendering that you absolutely need.
Well, and I'll even go to the extent of, which I think there's another herbal solution to this, but going to the extent of mental health, right? THC, CBD, CBG, all these they can't always fix mental health issues because some mental health issues
can really help.
Absolutely.
That you add that and talk therapy.
Yeah. And it's particular to what type of mental health issue.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
There is an erase for all of it in the fungi, but...
Yeah, and that's where I was going, right?
Yeah, so... And you know what? That may make a federal pass before cannabis does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're already sending out ketamine.
Going.
Yeah, they're already sending ketamine out to people's homes to do therapy. So,
which is that can be done wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
You can end up lights out forever.
Absolutely.
With ketamine trip.
Absolutely. And I wonder at what point we'll see DMT and ayahuasca get introduced because
safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Safe.
100%. If it's clean.
Yeah.
Because DMT is one of those that,
synthesized.
Yeah, exactly.
But what if you're getting it from
a
mimosa?
Lab? Yeah.
The mimosa plant, from a
ayahuasca. Yeah. I think it's interesting to see where our culture's shifting. They're legalizing in other states. It's the same slow roll that we saw with cannabis and are seeing with cannabis. But I think you may be right. It might surpass it because they've got
John Hopkins
behind them.
There's a lot of studies going out. And I know a lot of professionals myself involved.
Yeah, for sure.
In it. And
if you pay attention to the news, you never see drug bust on that.
Oh, no, you just... But it's because it's so damn hard to get your hands on. I mean, that's something that people ask for a lot because the sources aren't out there.
And even outside of the psychedelic aspect of it, what's that one company? I know there's Mushroom Life. I really like him. He's a guy out of California. And he does gummies, and we work together on that aspect of things. And then he does some like tablets and shit like that, and it's functioning mushrooms.
Yeah.
And then he also is doing the amanitas.
Okay.
The amanitas are interesting to
I'm
me.
starting to look into those myself.
Yeah. They're interesting
because it's supposed to be a dream.
Yeah, and you can't grow it. It has to be naturally harvested from Europe. So
is the law the loophole?
No, it's it just isn't like something that can be reproduced at the time.
Huh.
So
interesting.
Which ends up with bad players in the game, right?
Yeah.
Getting something else and selling it as Amanita.
That's what scares me because I see them in a lot of smoke shops.
Yeah.
The gummies coming in, and
there's a couple big companies that I know are doing it, quote unquote, right, but still their milligram levels are off.
Was it extraction?
Yeah. A lot of times it's just like a powdered mushroom, but you're not getting as much out of it, and where it's hard to access, you see a lot of shortages. Like there's one company that used to be really big in hemp, has changed their name and shifted to the Amanitas, and
that just goes to show you, right? This is the CBD.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is CBD all over again.
But people are Life Cycle. That was the other brand. You know, Joe Rogan spoke of them. They do the tinctures. He's all over my Instagram feed and Facebook and all that because he's doing the lion's mane, the cordyceps, the I don't even just all
we
of
got
them. He's got
Paul
like 6
Stamets
different
in our
ones.
retail location.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to grow
Post
lion's mane
defense.
and eat it. Like it tastes like crab when you cook it,
Yeah.
or lobster.
Yeah.
Kinda. The texture's a little bit. But I mean, I just think there's a ton out there. I mean, look at daffodils, right? Like they found daffodils like the best thing that you can have for your heart. So
Dandelions.
dandelions,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
Dandelions.
So it's this weird cultural shift that I think I'm 31 since I was a kid to now, just watching it change and watching the opioid epidemic really kind of set it off because people realized how traumatic some of this stuff could be, and how many lives and families it could ruin. So everybody's looking for an alternative, along with the internet just blasting out that we can't trust the government.
Sure.
So now
Including
everybody's
the number
like,
one song right now on iTunes.
yeah, exactly. That, and then you've got, you know, these documentaries or series like the Painkiller on Netflix. I watched that and I was like, it's
I
just
ain't
great.
seen that yet.
It's Oxycontin. But then they still have oxycodone, you know.
Yeah,
So what did they really do?
Yeah.
I've watched friends who started out with 5 milligram oxycodone because they have extreme back issues,
Yeah.
and then get moved to 20 milligrams in 3 years,
Then get
and
cut
they're
off.
not inside anymore. You know what I mean? And then if they do get cut off, then they have to go to Suboxone or methadone or something like that. Whereas you and I spoke about, kratom potentially could be a natural, you know, harvested from the jungle plant that relieve people from that. But again,
See,
regulations.
but I just hadn't seen anything kratom can do that cannabis can't touch on.
The only thing that I would say is hit the opiate receptor.
Sure, but
Because
why we need to hit it? Like,
I think for people
why don't we
who
manage our pain in another way?
I
Now,
agree.
I will say a toothache,
yeah.
a back pain, it does a lot
Yeah.
better hitting that opiate. But
Well, and
a
I'm just
toothache,
thinking about the addict, right? Like not even thinking
Sure,
about the
on
just
the back end of that, but for treatment on the front end, you can't convince me at this point that cannabis, especially like, dude, you eat 100 milligram brownie, not that you should go be that ruthless, but you eat 100 milligram brownie, your back's not going to hurt anymore.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm with that, and that's where I think, like we were speaking about, is like kratom on the back end to
end of
deal
stuff.
with some of this addiction issues
Yeah.
would be the route, which THC can do that as well if the person's motivated enough,
Again,
right?
I've seen people go sick from withdrawals.
Yeah,
Take that same 100 milligram brownie I'm
Comfortable.
talking about, and they're no longer drawed up. They're
Yeah.
no longer They might, but they feel like they got a really bad and it's not. It's everything's so variable, right?
Yeah.
But I know I have heard people tell me that edibles in high doses that we
Yeah.
don't usually suggest for people
absolutely.
can get you through those first critical
7 days or so.
critical 3 to 7.